Nigel, just a quick squad update from Tuesday night. Anything picked up? Any problems ahead of the weekend?
No, everybody's fine from the two games in the last week. So we are, we've got Joe Williams back in the squad too. Okay. So that's, I said after the game, we want to try and get as many players fit and available for the run-in, just to make sure that we try and finish as well as we can. So it's been a disappointing couple of results that we've had, but against good sides, and I think our performance levels in general have been pretty good. So, there are still things that we need to improve at, of course, and we've hit a bit of a dead end, if you like, in terms of taking opportunities over the last couple of games, but we've certainly been pretty creative. So let's see if we can change our fortunes against Rotherham, because they've had quite a positive spell of results too. So they'll be difficult opponents for us.
So do the last two games where you've played well in large parts and done a lot of things I'm sure you'd be happy with, but got nothing out of, does that give you hope for next season, or does it still show you that you're X% short of being where you want to be?
A bit of both, probably. In as much as we've got to, I think, for us to be pushing higher in the league, we've got to make sure that tight games, and certainly the types of games that we've had over the last couple of games, we need to pick points up in those games. But I mean, I'm more satisfied in terms of where we are at coming towards the end of this season in lots of different ways, because we've been, we've made a progression with how the squad looks, and we've also met some of the targets off field, which will help us hopefully in the future on field. And I think that's an important thing. But let's be absolutely clear: it's what we do on the pitch that's the most important thing. And so we've got to find ways of being more efficient, I think, is the best way of putting it. And we'll find those solutions.
In those two games, the substitutes haven't made the impact that you were looking for. Is that something you've sort of specifically talked to the players about in the last day or so?
Well, they knew after the game. I mean, it was not something that we'd spent a lot of time over. And let's be honest, that those players have been excellent this season, generally. So it's just important that in those types of games where we don't make substitutions just to keep either people happy, we do it because it should add something to the team, or give an injection of either energy or a different type of quality. Sometimes you make substitutions to shore things up. Sometimes you make substitutions to try and push on, and that's why it's always important that a squad of players don't just see the starting 11 as being the most important players. They just happen to be starting the game, but the players who are on the bench are as important.
Great news that Joe is available for selection again. What's been a much more resilient season for him. Tomas Kalas, another one that was getting close.
Yeah.
Is he still in line with maybe playing at some point this season?
He keeps having little setbacks, which are not anything major, but I think for him, it just remains a real frustration, and I feel for him in that regard. So I'm still hopeful that we'll see him again this season. Of course I am. But with 3 games left, you sort of run out of time, don't you? He'll be back with us again next week, and then we'll see how things develop. So rather than add even more pressure to him, I think it's just fair to say that if it's in his and our best interest, he'll either play or he won't play. I mean, it's just that's how it looks. But it's certainly been really frustrating for Tom, and yeah, I mean it's a season for him which has lots of incidents and setbacks which he could really do without.
He's one of a relatively small number of players out of contract this summer. I'm sure the announcement will come when it comes, but do those players know where they stand in terms of whether you see them with a future, whether you've made them offers or not yet?
Well, again, I think that is something that, I mean, most players do. Yeah. But, there's still question marks over one or two, and we'll just have to see how things move over the next few weeks. But until everybody, the players need to know first. So I'm not going to speculate over those types of issues, really.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
No, it's okay.
Rotherham, the game earlier this season, just this first one back after the World Cup, I thought it was a really good away display. But they're a team that will play sort of front-footed.
Yeah, they will.
Football. They're going to make life difficult for you at Ashton Gate, aren't they?
Yes, they'll play percentage football, and I think it's been a decent bounce back from them. In all honesty, they're a team with a lot of. They've got some good players. They also have a good group ethic as well. They work exceptionally hard. And we know that we'll be in for a tough game. They will always put everything that they've got into the game. And if people make assumptions that games like this are easy, they're certainly not. So we've got to be able to, we've got to make sure that our own game's at the top end, because again, as I've already talked about, if you want to make progressions, you've got to be able to utilise the strengths that you have yourself. And one of ours is that we've got pace in the side, we've got good physical stats, we're very capable in those sorts of situations. We are, we're not the biggest side in the world, but I think we've been collectively quite resilient. And those are the types of things that you've got to use those strengths to then allow your ability to come through. It's not the other way around. You don't just teams who think they can just use their technical ability to beat teams is quite a naive approach, because in this league everybody is very, very capable of beating almost any side on any given day. It's one of those. It's such a difficult league to be successful in, which is why I have, a healthy respect for everybody that we play.
Thank you very much.
Cheers.
Hi, Nigel. This weekend is the EFL Awards, and Alex Scott is obviously up for an award.
There's one, sorry.
He's up for the Young Player of the Year award in the EFL. Do you think, comparing him to last season, do you think he's done a better season this season? And would you say he's deserving it? Well, he's more than deserving.
Well, look, I don't know who votes on these things, to be honest with you, so I've got no idea. I think it's nice when players get recognised for what they do. He's had a really good breakthrough season last year, and he's backed it up with a sound season. Yeah, the thing that he needs to add to his game is goals. That's the thing. But he's a very talented player, and it doesn't surprise me that he's been nominated. So yeah, good for him. Let's see whether he comes back with it.
Yeah, you did say last week about perhaps midfielders needing to score more goals, and it might be a
Not maybe, we do. That's what we do need to do.
Most definitely. So, can the current personnel at the club, can they do something different? Obviously, it doesn't seem there's a lot of goals from outside the box this season. Do players need to get into the box, or do they need to start taking shots?
Our midfield players struggle to keep up with our forwards are that quick. I mean, that's you know, when you play counter-attacking football, which really is where we've been most successful, it normally ends up with chances for forwards, in all honesty. But, you know, we have developed throughout the season, are more comfortable now. I mean, we've had a few games recently where, you know, possession stats are relatively high for us. And those are the types of games and situations where we do need to score different types of goals. So that it's more of a patient build-up, etc. So those are the situations where hopefully we'll get midfielders joining in with attacks in a different way, and that is attacking the box. And certainly people like Alex Scott, very capable of doing that, but he's just had a season where things haven't happened for him really in that regard.
And it could be a really big weekend for the club, and obviously the women's team are on the cusp of winning the league. Do you offer advice to Lauren and things like that?
No, I don't need to give her any advice. She's very capable herself. They've had a good season, and it would be great for us to celebrate the women's team getting promotion. But I mean, look, they're in a very, very strong position. But I know Lauren and her staff won't be taking anything for granted at the moment. They'll be preparing for this game like they would any other game, and I think that's one of the strengths that they've had a season in which they've been, I mean, they've led for the majority of the season. So last week was a big turning point in terms of them getting a big win, and Lionesses getting a defeat at the hands of, I think it was Southampton. So hopefully we'll get over the line. Lauren and her staff and players will get over the line by winning the game themselves, but they need 1 point from the next 2 games.
And are you hoping to be in attendance as well, instead of you supporting them as well?
I always try and give as much support to all aspects of our club. So I'll see them tomorrow because they'll be training and getting the prep right. So hopefully they can see it through on Sunday.